Hey everyone, it's Kevin from Amdahl Hearing. Hey, today I want to talk to you about something I was talking with a patient about here just the other day. And we were doing a hearing test, and what I was explaining to them is whether their hearing loss was permanent or not. And the question came up, can a hearing loss be temporary? So I think it's an important thing to go over kind of what we're looking for when we're testing and why a test is so important in that whole process of getting a hearing aid. So the first thing we have to do is we have to break your kind of hearing mechanism down into three parts. The first is the outer ear, which includes the ear itself, and then the ear canal. So the space between your ear outside here and your eardrum. We'll call that the outer ear. Now, the space between your eardrum and your hearing nerve, we're going to call the middle ear. So we've got your eardrum. Some people have heard of the three little bones called the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. We're going to call that the middle ear. And then we'll go with the rest of that, which is the inner ear. Now, technically, some audiologists might add something else, another step, but for our purposes, we'll use those three things. So if we're looking at whether or not that hearing loss is permanent or not, first thing we have to look at is that outer ear. First of all, is there an opening there? Some people don't have an opening, and that's a problem, obviously, for hearing. And so we would want to get them to a doctor to see if there was anything that we could do. But more commonly, we're dealing with things like earwax or some sort of a foreign object in the ear. Now, certainly we wouldn't want to prescribe hearing aids for that, because all a doctor needs to do is go in and get that foreign object out, or heck, half the time we can go in ourselves and get that wax out of there. So certainly not something we would call a permanent hearing loss. If we look at the middle ear, and there is some discussion as to whether or not the eardrum is outer or middle, we'll call it middle for this. What we've got could be issues with the eardrum itself. Maybe there's a hole in there, maybe there's a thickening of the membrane, maybe there's something else going on, or more commonly, we'll see just a standard what we call middle ear infection. Any of you out there with kids are very familiar with what happens when kids get an ear infection. Their ear gets red, it gets inflamed, they get a little crabby, it's a painful thing in many cases, and again, something a doctor can take care of. And while that can have a significant impact on people's hearing, not just children, but adults also, it is something that's generally very treatable by a physician. So we wouldn't want to fit hearing aids on that. There can also be random growths or other things that we can see in that middle ear space that could be reasons for us to make that referral. When we're looking at hearing loss, then that last space is that inner ear or that hearing nerve. Now, the vast majority of the time, that type of hearing loss is in fact permanent, and barring any other indicators that would make us think that maybe someone should see a doctor, that would be a good opportunity for us to start talking about hearing aids. So when you're thinking about hearing aids, first get that test, make sure that that hearing loss that you think you have is in fact permanent. It is something that we can take care of, and not something that you're just going to waste hearing aids on only to find out you've got some wax in your ears. Hey, I hope this was helpful. I'm Kevin from Amdahl Hearing. If you like what you see today, go ahead and hit that like button. If you really like what you see and want to continue to get content like this, please hit that subscribe button. If you want to get a hold of me directly, you can do so at info@amdahlhearing.com, or you can find us at amdahlhearing.com. Again, I'm Kevin Amdahl. Thanks for stopping by.